Today is a little bit of a
spooky.
Well, not, but serious business, as we would say here in the industry, because we're trying to get the egg, and this is the first window for the egg I think that has happened on stream so far. So let's see how it goes. There's already these goids here ready for the egg as well. I'm guessing today there's gonna be a lot of people here because it's happening at such a normie time. Usually there's like 2 or 3 people here in addition to me during the less active hours, I guess. Let's see here. Do we have Final Fantasy at 0? Yes, we do. Let's put it to 2. There we go. I turned off the music for this area because it just fucking sucks. It's like the worst song in the entire game. So now we could just hear the sound effects and we hear some nice Kirby music, which is the optimal way to listen to music. Hello there, Kala. How's it going? Today, since I'm actually waiting on for some reason they still haven't announced the Artists Alley stuff for the convention, so until I know about that, I kind of can't really do work for the books. So I'm just kind of in this limbo like state, and I'm gonna test out the game. I'm gonna test out the game today, since I have some time now until I hear about the Artists Alley stuff. Well, there she go. Super tired. Did you have a long day? Mighty and Amiko fell into the Final Fantasy XIV pit. It's kind of funny how like Amiko was like arguing like, no, I will never play Final Fantasy XIV. I don't have interest in that. And then like the next fucking week he's like already playing it. These big men with their big man fishing rods. Been sleeping poorly. Oh. You should, well, it kind of depends. In my case, I think the reason to why I'm sleeping so well is because I'm doing so much, like, drawing stuff, which does sort of drain your head a lot, which makes it easier to sleep. Also, I do go out every day for, like, a little run, and I do a workout thingy every day as well. Well, except for Wednesdays, which is today, actually. So yeah. So yeah. But why play video games when you can party with friends? But what if you don't want to party with friends? Earlier today, he said his interest in the game is slowly growing, and a couple of hours later, man's a character creation. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. I've prepared my mic for the horror stuff tomorrow. Resident Evil is what we're gonna be playing, and I made it so that my mic shouldn't peak when I speak. I noticed, like, some of you might have noticed, probably like 2 maybe, noticed that I posted like a YouTube video of my fish tier list. And I mentioned at the start of it that I had such a, like, the mic was so I don't why did nobody mention about this to me? But like when I was listening through it on the stream, or I was listening through the VOD, my voice like peaked the mic like constantly. Like when I would like say specific words or sentences or something like that, my voice would constantly just peak the mic, or like make this like sound happen. We have gotten used to. God damn! You should say something like just say, just tell me. I'll fix it. God damn. But now it should be fixed. I don't think I can peek anymore. So yeah. God damn. I had to redo my tier lists because of it. I didn't want to listen to that fucking garbage. But it's much redo all your older video. I probably should. But yeah, it was a bad time. It was a bad time listening to it. Like, holy shit, especially with headphones, it was like a nightmare to go through. But now the audio stuff should be okay. I hope. But yeah. So yeah. Yeah, the other expansions are about 10 to 15 minutes. Because ARR is super long because it has like 3 times more fish than any other expansion. I started Final Fantasy today and now I'm having fever. Must be too weak for the game. No, it's your body is like, okay, so now it's time to binge some Final Fantasy. So now you have an excuse to not go to school, so you can just play the game. That's what your body is signaling. But yeah, we're gonna be, for anybody who's joining late, we're gonna be fishing for the Cinder Surprise, which is the worst fish in the game. If I do end up getting it, well, Yersu's fishy bet is pretty close. It's like 2 or 3 away. And there's one last one. I think Monday next week. No, it's on Friday at 6 a.m. or something like that. So... No, let's see here. What is it? Friday, yeah, no, Friday at 6 a.m. So... by that time, I'll probably be... Yersu will probably be in the window. If I do end up catching it and Yersu gets... or Yersu isn't in the window, then I'll give him half a Kinder Egg as a prize. But if we do get, I promise I'll bring you that Kinder Egg that you really wanted to the convention. Or if I forgo, I'll just buy it during the convention for you. But yeah, we are well, fishy bets are not over yet because the scan is right here, and I still haven't caught it, so you know that one won't be until 4 days later. So yeah, it's probably gonna take me like at least a month or 2. Even if I were to catch it right now, it still will take like probably a month or 2 to get the title. Yerso gets Kinder Egg and I'm gonna be doing hard labor. Yeah, well, I didn't buy Yerso a ticket, so... And there's no guarantee that Yersu is going to get anything, because this thing is a nightmare. I've had it bite 2 times so far. I would assume that it's going to bite one more time, either today or the day after. It bites about once every 3 windows. So we should be able to get it. Today I'm going to do a little bit of an experimental thing, because I don't think the statistics on the site are right on Teamcraft. The site that I check the fish stats and stuff like that, I don't think they're right. So I'm gonna try to do a little bit... gonna do the rotation a little bit differently from how you usually do it. It's probably not really gonna make any difference, but I just want to try it because you know. Amico is going to be one of my box carrying boys. But I don't even know if I get into the artist's alley yet, so I don't know yet. We'll see. Wait, this is color. It isn't colors black. It's not Black Wing. It's Black Wing with a Y, because he's cool like that, right? Yeah, exactly. Yersu writes it right. Yes. My outfit should be in my possession in a week. My outfit is proceeding somewhat okay as well. Desicon. Yeah. It's a Finnish thing. I've never actually been to a convention outside of Finland. Not very familiar with any abroad conventions. Going to BearCon in Bear Escape. I was so fucking monstrously bummed out about the fact that the fucking Magic the Gathering anniversary shit is sold out. The secret lair. It fucking sold out in like an hour or two. And I got fucked. It just like it went off so fast and I couldn't get it. It sucks. It sold out and I can't get it. Now Christmas is cancelled because of that. Like fucking hell. Sucks. So yeah, I'm glad that I actually at least got the fucking tickets to the convention. Like those went out in like 20 minutes or something crazy like that. So yeah, it's unfortunate though that even though they go real fast, even though they go real fast, it doesn't really mean that there's gonna be more people there or anything like that, because the convention has a very limited amount of space. It's not one of those American massive like event halls that is full of shit. It's a pretty small convention by like by like internet standards, or the international standards, I suppose. There were 2.7k, yeah. Bright side, I have a Christmas gift for you. Very good. I look forward to it. But yeah, so it's been you know, it's been a little bit of an up and down thingy, but I'm just really confused over why the Artist's Alley stuff hasn't been announced yet, because usually they release that like a day after they release the show, like what shows they're gonna be showing in there, that information. Why specifically Bear Escape? But yeah, it you know, you win some, you lose some. It was I should have, I was really tired when I woke up at like 6 p.m, which is like 3 hours earlier than I usually wake up at. I woke up at 6 p.m. and I had to get up to do the tickets, and I was so tired that I totally didn't remember that, oh yeah, the fucking Magic the Gathering thing is probably for sale right now too. If I would have gotten it then, I probably would have gotten the thing. But because I was so tired, I didn't remember, and I just got fucked, and I couldn't get it. And now all of the kits are on eBay for €500 a pop, because Wizards of the Coast is okay with that. They just want the sales, they don't care about the customers. So, you know, there was no limit to how many of those you could buy. So you could buy like 50 of them if you wanted to, and then just sell them on eBay for massive profit. So yeah, cool, right? In the States, I think they sold out in like a few minutes or something insane like that. Hello there, Sorrow. Welcome to some epic fishing. After the fishing, we're gonna just watch some funny videos. The videos better fucking be funny if I don't get the egg again. If I get the egg, then the videos can also not be super funny. They can also be bad funny videos. I give you permission to send me shitty videos if I get the egg. More like Hasbro. Yeah. Yeah. Ren and Maru in Hot Spring like Bearscape. I probably can't draw Maru. Even though he's a boy, I would assume that Twitch probably wouldn't be okay with showing his nipples on stream. Because he doesn't look like a boy. So I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know what the rule is for girly boys. Like, can you make like really girly boys wear like really skimpy outfits? Can you draw that with like them topless? Even though they look like girls, although they're flat. Can you draw that? Is that okay? Because technically they are dudes, and it's okay to show dudes topless, even though it's not okay to show like girls topless, which is still a very strange double standard when it comes down to stuff like this. And the girly boy dilemma exemplifies this very well, I feel. Conveniently placed fog, oh yeah, or stickers over his nipples. That's a pretty classy way to do it. If you ask me. Just draw the top part slightly masculine. There's no masculinity on Maru's body. There's no masculinity there. There's nothing like that. That's his whole thing. There's not an inch. There's not an inch of masculinity. Okay, so we're gonna throw this, and we're gonna pull whatever comes here. This thing. And now we're gonna throw chum. Instead of slapping this, we're gonna chum, and we're gonna get whatever is, if we get a shadow crab or a if this is an egg again, then we're just gonna slap the egg, but if this is shadow crab, or yeah, see, and then we're gonna start properly. So the reason to why I'm doing it like this is because there's this site called Teamcraft, right? And Teamcraft is basically a site where you can see the statistics of what kind of fish people have pulled in here. And the whole thing with Teamcraft is that it shows you an average percentage of like what is the ratio of pulling a particular fish based on how many people have pulled it. And in the case of this one, I think there's some skewed statistics, because in order to even try fishing for this, you have to first obtain Fisher's Intuition, which you get with catching 10 sand eggs. And usually people just surface slap the sand egg. The surface slap basically makes it so that you can't get it anymore, like it can't be pulled. But so the sand egg is showing up on Teamcraft at like 30, 39 or like 40% or something crazy like that, as it's a ratio of being pulled. But I honestly personally don't think that's correct. Because people know exactly how to pull the sand egg, so they're basically guaranteed to always pull it if they want to. Which I think has basically skewed the statistics. And in my experience, the sand egg is maybe like a 10% pull here. So instead I'm gonna try to slap the more common shadow crab or or desert sandfish or something like that, desert dustfish, because that should increase the ratio of the egg biting onto my lure a little bit more. It's just a marginal difference, but you know, when you're in a situation like this where you can't try for this very often, and sometimes it goes away for a month, you know, you want to grab at all the straws that you can possibly go for. I don't know if there's any sort of logic to my stuff, but I want to at least feel like I'm trying to do something for this. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. So far I've had 2 pulls total. To my understanding, the Cinder Surprise isn't like terrible to pull. It shouldn't be like absolutely nightmarishly hard to pull. Usually people get it in like, I think, under 10 bites, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy either, especially with how rarely it's available. So what we're gonna do here is go like this and throw again. We only have about 2 minutes of time left, so this isn't gonna last very long. And then after that, we're gonna just watch some funny videos. But we'll see. Still got about 1.5 minutes, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I guess it was more than 1.5 minutes. I think over 30 seconds has definitely passed already. Okay, now it's 59 seconds. If it's not gonna bite this time either, then I'll just be nice and I'll just slap the eggs as always, as people generally do. This is a pretty bad place to fish because there's a lot of like really common trash fish in this fishing hole that are very, very common to bite, as you can see constantly with the 1 bites and 1 bites and 1 bites and 1 bites. It would be nice if like one of the fish or even 2 of them would be just cut off. That would make this a lot more sensible to go for. But the fact that this is always like this is just it's a bit of a bad time for sure. 10 seconds of time left. Okay, I don't think we can push this. Yes, we can. Okay. So that's the last one. Oh. No luck. Yeah. So the next one is on Friday at 6 in the morning. And I think I'm just gonna slap the eggs. So far the two bites that I've gotten have both been with the eggs. So yeah, but no luck. This is how it is. This is how it is, generally speaking. It just sucks. What are we watching? We're watching funny and interesting videos today. Since no luck on this, I'll just I don't think there's nothing that I can even fish for. Let's update the fishy bets. Like so. And I can close down the fish tracker. I don't think there's any reason to be on Final Fantasy right now, to be honest. I'll just go to some homing area and I'll close it down because it's just gonna be sort of pointlessly working on my CPU or whatever. So that we can watch YouTube videos in 60 FPS or whatever. See, me and Yerso are making one of our classmates crazy with a G. What are you doing to crazy them? Mae-mae, did you see that I put food and a bunch of other shit in the FC box? I did. But my inventory is already full of food. I don't need more. We are too weeb. Oh. What if the masculinity just went to the right place in the downstairs package area? No. Maru isn't really that kind of character for me. Maru, like, I like it when my characters have different kinds of body types. Miyuki is the one who has, you know, she's packing heat. Because there's already one big dick energy girl among my characters, I figured that the sort of resident girly boy is he shouldn't have the exact same body type as Miyuki, so that's why Maru doesn't have a massive cock. You'll be able to see it on Spicy Variant, the book. Hopefully, if I actually get to sell it, would be neat. And there's going to be plenty of cocks. In fact, there's like... There's like one chapter in the entire comic that doesn't have penises involved. So there's plenty of dick to go around. Don't worry about it. But if you, I don't know, I'll consider the hot spring stuff. I don't necessarily know. Well, I guess it might be fun on draw pile. No, yeah, we'll see. Japan's suck according to him. What does that even mean? God damn it. The multiple Japans out there, they fucking suck, god damn it. Curse those Japans. May important question, penis or penis? Penis. But yeah, there's a lot of dicks in Spicy Variant. You will be seeing plenty of them if you get the book, which you should, by the way. You should definitely get the book once it becomes available. It's going to be available for everybody online to purchase, and I will do my best to make sure that it has international shipping as well. So anybody can get them. It's not super expensive. It's going to be like 20, maybe a little bit more than 20, but something like that in terms of price. 318 pages, which which if I say so myself is pretty good for a light novel. And it has a bunch of really wholesome content. I've been posting some of the images over on the Discord server, like little previews. Luckily the previews are like this, you know. There's totally nothing unwholesome going on right here. It's completely safe for work what's happening here. So just, you know, there's like, imagine what's happening here. Definitely just wholesome things, right? So what if I can't read? Don't worry, Amico. I'll teach you. I'll teach you at the convention. but it should be fun. I think it's a good book. It's definitely a little bit extreme, but it's extreme in the sort of sense that makes it sort of easy to digest. It's a comedy porn, and there's a lot of funny stuff to it. There is this. Well, it's not in this book, but if it ends up being popular, then I'll make the second volume. But on one of the second volume chapters that I did like a few months ago, there was like the story was about like Miyuki seeing like a bunch of horny dreams, and then this chapter ends with her just being, "Am I still in a dream? Snake beater." It has a lot of awful references and other shit like that. Will you teach me to write someday? Maybe I will. Do you already know what's going to be on the summary on the back? No idea what it'll be about, except secretly. Oh, you mean yeah, so do you mean like what is the sort of what is the log line of the series, or what's the story about? The story is essentially about a group of friends, Maru, Ren, Terra, Miyuki, and Pain, going on a tropical getaway to an island, and upon arriving to the island, the group comes to realize that it was Terra who chose the island, and they all come to the realization that basically everything in the island is cultivated to like molest you one way or another. And then they explore the island and get into a lot of weird loot trouble. That's what the book is about. It's got a bunch of like parodied sci-fi tropes, and it's got a bunch of parodied fantasy tropes, and it's got romance, and it's got butt fiddling, and you know, all the things that when a person could hope out of a book. It is, unfortunately, obviously I can't show you guys anything because it is very, 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 very not safe for work. So yeah, now Mightis wants to learn how to ERP like. But yeah, it's light reading. It's very dialogue heavy. Should be pretty easy to read. So yeah, it's you know. What's ERP? It's exciting rally participation. Exciting rally participation. But yeah, if you guys have any funny videos, send them to me on Submit Funny. We will. They don't necessarily even have to be funny. Just interesting videos is okay too. Documentaries or something like that. If you want to send me, just send me. Don't send me like 3-hour videos. But yeah. But yeah, spicy variant should be fun. I'm also gonna be making a comic anthology. If I do get to the table, it's gonna be about all of my short horny comics. Maybe some illustrations and stuff. Gonna be a lot shorter than spicy variant, obviously. But it should be still like a, you know, like a solid little 100-page or so experience. So there's gonna be a few nice things to purchase. Hopefully I can sell a bunch because it is quite expensive to sell or get books. it was about, well, it was basically exactly €1,000 to get the Clownfish Twister Volume 4s. And now just the next two will probably cost about the same in total, or maybe a little bit more, because I'm gonna be getting like 220 more books in total. So my room is gonna be a fucking nightmare with all the boxes. Holy shit. But yeah. Anyway, let's check out some of the videos. I beat Balan Wonderworld, and read the novel so you don't have to. We already watched a video on Balan Wonderworld, so let's see if this sort of adds anything to it.
The punching bag video game of 2021. Everyone's playing the first 3 levels and declaring things like it's the worst thing ever since the last worst thing ever. Review scores so low you'd think it's shovelware. In a year with brand new consoles, with brand new video game releases spread out, this silly little thing stands out extra hard. Is this the true power of the PS5? But what really lies in the depths of what's allegedly lead director and father of Sonic the Hedgehog Yuji Naka's one chance to make a 3D platformer? What happens if you go all the way? Well, I 100% of the game.
I like
got the plat.
Just imagine if Balan Wonderworld is like your swan song. Like, just no, come on. Like, well, to be fair, if I'm allowed to be a little bit controversial, I'm sure there's some fucking loser in chat who actually thinks that Sonic games have very good design. I don't think there's a single Sonic game out there that has good design to it. I think all Sonic games are trash. Even the 2D ones. I don't think they're like well-made video games. So Yuji Naka, being the director of Sonic, I don't think he's made that good games. So I don't think this is outright surprising that Balan Wonderworld is trash.
Read the novel. Yes, there's a novel. All 280 pages. I've spent weeks scouring the internet for anything Balan related. I've found tons of exploits. I've pieced together bits of lore and been baffled by certain decisions so hard I had to sleep it off. This stupid 3D platformer has captivated me. I've been pulled in so deep that all my friends hate me, but I have seen Yuji Naka's true, unyielding vision.
This is what people call Stockholm Syndrome.
Unlikely, but I'm here to say you know nothing about Balan Wonderworld.
Oh hi, it's me, dedicated catfather Austin Eruption, and when I'm not doing a ridiculous amount of research on a game that ostensibly nobody cares
Did you know there's a TTRPG specifically for anime? What does that mean? What do you mean anime fishing?
Skillshare is an online learning community for all you creative types out there where millions have come together to teach and learn. It's a great place to learn some new skills.
No, don't go to Skillshare. Come to Mae-mae channel. We also learn things here.
YouTube videos and maybe just start a channel. There's a ton of amazing classes you can take, such as Marquise Brownlee's YouTube Success, Script, Shoot, and Edit. As someone who was also completely self-taught on editing and filming, watching this one's
Is it like most people self-taught on fucking... I'm pretty confident that most people on YouTube are self-taught on editing and whatever. A lot of people don't go to school for stuff like that. It's still such a growing industry that I feel like there even isn't a lot of education for something like that yet. It constantly obviously increasing in amount, but most editors on YouTube and whatever, they probably learned it by just trial and error.
Be it for sprite art, music programming, or just general game art. Skillshare is curated for learning, meaning that if you have a subscription, you'll have unlimited access to the entire catalog of classes to learn from at your pace. And at less than $10 a month for an annual subscription, you can't go wrong. So just for you guys, the first 1,000 subscribers that click the link in the description will get a free trial of Skillshare's premium membership so you can go off and explore your creativity. Give it a shot. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring the video, and now off to video game. Singular game. The end. On paper, Square Enix and lead director Yuji Naka creating something is a no-brainer. It's an old-school 3D platformer in an era sorely lacking.
Why is it that people say that this is a no-brainer? Yuji Naka hasn't made good games. Fuck. Since when has any fucking Sonic game reviewed over 7? Like, I think, like, Sonic Mania is probably the only Sonic game that is reviewed over 7, and that hasn't aged like fucking shitty-ass milk. I'm sure there's some fucking place that gave, like, Sonic Adventure, like, an 8 or something like that. But Sonic Adventure is a fucking garbage fire by today's standards. Why is it that nobody's trying to speedrun Sonic Adventure, but everybody's still speedrunning Super Mario 64? There has to be some kind of reason for that. And it's not the fact that Sonic is just not as popular as Mario. It's because it's a fucking trash game.
The Square, which for the
Sorry, I hate
has been doing
Sonic.
good stuff lately. The first cutscene reveal of this game was really interesting. You take the recognizable art of Naoto Oshima and toss them directly into Square quality CGs with an exciting big band soundtrack surrounded by
And
Nights
maxed
into
out
Dream vibes,
Bloom.
and, I mean, who wouldn't be interested? Nights into Dreams was a fun, if extremely weird Saturn game.
Yeah, but Nights into the Dreams wasn't a popular game either. It wasn't successful at all. That's why it doesn't exist anymore. Like, everybody's like, oh, Nights into the Dream, god fucking damn, it was so good and so special and unique. But nobody fucking played it. Fuck.
That was 100%.
Sorry, I hate Sonic.
The early 3D days were bright, colorful, nonsensical, and filled with weird.
Yeah, it had good
messages.
songs,
Big ones
but that
like
doesn't
Mario
make for a good
64
game.
and Banjo-Kazooie, but the Saturn and PlayStation had a different breed. The jumping flashes, crocs, not to mention obscure stuff like Fix the Adventure or Klonoa. Nights had you flying.
What do you
all
mean,
over the
Klonoa?
screen,
Klonoa is
rings as
less
fast as you
obscure
could,
than Nights into the
well,
Dreams.
not really sure, but it was memorable. Ever since the industry jumped into 3D, Yuji Naka has had a very mixed success rate with high highs and a lot of middling, forgettable games. I never played it, but the Wii U version of Rodea, the Sky Soldier, is supposed to be a time. Forever respect for Phantasy Star Online and Choo Choo Rocket, though. Those are good games. So, jump ahead to 2018, and Yuji Naka's joined Square Enix. He's putting together a group called Balan Company with the goal of creating action games instead of RPGs, which the company is normally known for, to say the least. Naka even stated himself that he doesn't, quote, think he would be good at making RPGs, which is a hell of a thing to say to a PR interview when these guys are hiring you. Balan Company would then team up with another Japanese developer, Arzest, and are given 2.5-ish years to create something that would launch around the same time as the new consoles. And that game, of course, is Balan Wonderworld. A quote one-button platformer with 80 different power-ups.
Why?
The Super Mario 64 level design philosophy.
So can you, like, I remember the talk about this one button philosophy. Why? Why would you do that? You have a controller that has multiple buttons. Is this meant for, like, people who just can't understand more than a button? Like, what is your target audience? Like infants. Why would you make a game worse deliberately just to make it so that you can play it while masturbating? Like what's the point? Like, you can play this game one-handed. Like what? So what? That's not a thing that you fucking market it for.
Philosophy with worlds being hubs.
That's just basically indirectly saying that the game is so fucking simple that there's, like, no substance to it whatsoever. So you can just play it with one hand and, like, watch Netflix while you play it.
For collectibles, one with an extremely memorable aesthetic and great music. It's a rare beat of originality with an injection of retro positivity, harkening back to an era of games long gone. It's also a game with abysmal sales and reviews, one that uses a one-button gameplay style that really dumbs everything down, one that feels like it should be something that was released in 1997, and whose PR person I legit feel bad for. It's not their fault, guys, come on.
There is a lot to talk about. Like, a lot.
Oh,
I
no.
was discussing this with my friends, which is very unfortunate for them, but let's go ahead and just talk about the game itself.
No idea. So the Sonic games are
Balan
fucking
Wonderworld
garbage.
is a 3D platformer with 36 levels divided across 12 stages with a total of 13 bosses to fight. Each stage is themed after a resident of the Wonderworld, which gives us the variety theme park of levels, some of which are an actual theme park. It starts by allowing you to choose a character to play as, Leo Craig or Emma Cole, each customizable. You watch a cutscene where you watch your
Customizable, you can choose their hair color.
setting,
Nice.
Stumble into the Balan Theater where an insane barrage of colors and instruments barrage the player before you're told, let's go find your heart, little ones, and sucked into some portal, then immediately into the Isle of Thames. And that's going to be the very last bit of dialogue in this game until the very end, by the way.
Fuck.
Yuji Naka wanted players all over the world to, quote, experience the same story by expressing it without words.
So, I'm sorry, Yuji Naka. I'm sorry I'm sort of burning on you like this, but like, I'm sure you have a prestigious history of doing shitty Sonic games and stuff like that. But you know, translation is that's a thing that exists. I don't know if this is like news to somebody, but you can actually translate languages. You don't have to make things into like a mute fucking mimic. Like if you okay. Things that are like, for example, completely mute. Like for example, I think Journey is for example a game that is completely mute. And while you can argue if Journey is a good game or not as well, when the sort of aesthetic and the design of the game sort of works well with the fact that the characters are completely mute or something like this, it can work. It can work. Like, for example, Will Journey, like the characters are sort of like aliens, so it's believable that they would not speak to each other. But when the characters are human and your reasoning is so that everybody can experience it around the world, it just sounds like we didn't want to pay for translation, but I still want to, like, because there's a novel about this shit. It means that the person, I don't know who wrote the novel, I'm guessing Yuji Naka, he wanted the story to be like in depth. He wanted the story to touch the hearts of people, but he decided to not include the story in the game. You have to purchase an additional novel to understand the story of the game. If anybody is unclear on this, that's a really bad move. Don't do that. If you ever make a game, don't be like, oh, well, you have to purchase this thing to understand. No. Trust me. No.
We'll get back into that later, but just keep it in mind. So you're on this island, there's like a creature on the ground and some counter and a giant number 1. You head into it and start platforming. The main catch in Balan is that there's 80 different costumes you can find by collecting a key and running into a crystal. These costumes all have different abilities, some more useful than others. Your starter costume is the Tornado Wolf, who has a spinning jump that can break objects and do damage. There's 3 slots on the top for costumes, meaning you can hold 3 at a time, each also constituting a pip of damage that you can take. You'll play through 2 levels without any explanation as to what's going on, collecting statues and new costumes to give you new abilities. There's also the mini Balan bouts, which are accessible by finding a flying top hat. These mini games are quick time events where you play as Balan fighting rocks, I guess. You have to time button presses where an overlay of what the image is going to be lines up in order to progress. It's also very specific, and you get a gold statue for getting all excellence, which if you're going for 100%, you'll need. And nobody cares about that. Also, in later stages, there's up to 3 Balan bouts per act, bringing the total to 48. 48 of these things. And the last few have like 7 QTEs per. In this mode, you also get to fight the main antagonist, Lance, whose purpose or appearance is not explained at all. In fact, absolutely nothing is explained because, as I said, Yuji Naka wanted the entire game's narrative to be experienced without words. So he just kind of appears. At the end of each stage is a boss fight that's actually typically well designed and interesting to fight. This is easily the best part of Balan, and I found them to be fun generally, but don't tell anyone I said that. They're all very well visually designed and the music is amazing. The first few can go down in as quick as 40 to 50 seconds, but later fights are a bit more challenging and sometimes demand you bring in other costumes. All of the designs would fit in perfectly with a modern 3D platformer or Sonic game, and it's just proof that the lead artist, Naoto Oshima, is still killing it. Also, the music is very good here. It just sounds like an ear.
Yeah, because that kind of music fits this fucking clown. Sorry, I have my mouth full of bread. I will give credit where credit is due, right? Character design in Sonic games, absolutely like 11 out of 10. Fucking beautiful. Everything else, trash.
Before each boss, by the way, is an amazingly animated and beautiful full-ass CG cutscene that describes the plight of each of Wonderworld's residents. The first stage being a farmer who turns into a giant tornado-slinging wolf, similar to the costume you get. Once you reach a certain amount of statues collected, Balan appears with a train to take you in a circle and unlock new stages with new residents to save, kill, having a sick dance-off with. It's kinda just happening, like the weird old Japanese 3D platformers of yonder. Except, those didn't have sick choreographed dance sequences with a full original song singing what sounds like complete gibberish. There's something about the way he's walking towards me. I can't deal with it. This cycle repeats until you reach the end of the game where you fight.
These are so like out of touch with reality.
It is indeed a video game.
And now, our next section.
You know, I think that this sort of nightmares, they sort of sometimes have like roots in the video game culture in general, because sometimes these like really classical game directors, for example, the guy who did the Mega Man stuff, who went on to create the Mighty Number 9, the guy who created the Symphony of the Night and went on to create the Ritual of the Night. Kojima, for example, this motherfucker right here. These are all like game directors that have a very like sort of, there's like a massive following for their work, and they're basically deified by the culture of gaming. But what people don't realize is that a game is not made by a single person. Just because these guys are the directors of the game, that doesn't mean that they were like in charge of everything in the game. Sometimes the fact that you're working for a publisher that restricts what you can do is good, because these people with like infinite creativity, sometimes it can, when you have all these ideas, there's no guarantee that all of them are gonna be good. And for example, sometimes when they're given full creative freedom, those projects go to fucking hell and burn. I would argue that Mighty Number 9 was a trash fire. It was really, really bad. There was like nothing good to the game, except for the dash mechanic, which was all right. The rest of it was just like a trashier, worse version of Mega Man. Ritual of the Night, or whatever it's called, I don't remember anymore. I haven't played, so I can't really say. But as soon as it released, I never heard of it never heard anything about it. So it definitely did not become a cult classic or anything of the like. So I'm guessing that it didn't do that well either. Balan Wonderworld, where, well, we know how this fucking trash fire is going. You can sort of see that this is a person's passion project who has poured like everything into it, and because they've been given full creative freedom, nobody questions their fucking idiotic ideas, like the fucking dance numbers. Like, who the fuck genuinely in their right mind is like, yeah, this is normal, people are gonna love this, this is cool. Ritual of the Night, yeah, that's the one. Like, it's clear that because these people are deified to the point that they are like, there's no restrictions to their creativity, things get out of hand very easily. That's just like 9. Well, fucking Tribal Hunter is also 9 out of 10 on Steam, so you know. That doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, I think Ritual of the Night is okay, but I don't. But it didn't have like an impact. It didn't have like an impact, like for example, Symphony. Like nobody was like, oh my god, everybody needs to play this. There wasn't anything like that. Hollow Knight was probably much more successful than it was. And Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania indie game. Highly recommended, by the way, if you really enjoy Metroidvania games. Fucking Hollow Knight, so good. But yeah. And I would also argue that Kojima also, you know, I don't know if Death Stranding is that good. People wanted to like it a lot, so there's a lot of people who will argue for it. But is it a good game? I don't think so. It might be an okay movie, but it's not a good game. So, like, the fact that these people are given limitless creativity and freedom can sometimes restrict the quality of the game. There should be limitations, because limitations are what gives birth to, like, real creativity, I feel. That's, you know, you have to also think about the, like, art is important. Art in games and game design is really, really important. Letting, because a director is also an artist, and letting the director sort of like express their artistic side through the game is really good. But when you're doing a commercial product, you also have to consider the commercial side of things. And sometimes considering the commercial side of things is not a bad thing. I personally at least think so. There's nothing wrong with commercializing your stuff. And I feel like that sometimes is like commercializing stuff is like sort of vilified so hard. It's like the worst thing in the world. I honestly don't think it is. Sometimes it makes things more or better in, like, it just makes them better. Like I don't think there's anybody out there who would argue that Death Stranding is better than Metal Gear Solid 3, for example. So, you know, it's like, and I don't think there's anybody who would seriously argue that Bloodstained is better than Symphony of the Night, or that Mighty Number 9 is better than Mega Man, or that Balan Wonderworld is better than Sonic, and when it's not better than Sonic, it's not a good show. So yeah, you know, restrictions are sometimes okay, I think. I personally at least think.
Balan Wonderworld has some of the most absurd design decisions I've seen in a video game in the last decade, probably. For example, the costumes. Now, in most video games you would play, you'd find a power-up that would be used in a specific area in a specific level, and that's where it stays. Now, Balan is like that for the most part. Each level has its own set of costumes that you find and unlock in order to get through those levels and unlock those statues. Since it banks on the one-button gameplay, each of those 80 costumes exists solely to have one function. Tornado Wolf does a jump and spin, Hardy Hammer does a big melee swing but cannot jump, Water Blaster blasts water. There's like 77 more of these. I'm not gonna get into it. Now, there's two major problems with this. Number one, you lose the costume if you get hit. That's not awful conceptually, but I mean, you like lose it. There's a costume select that appears in everyone's stage checkpoints that allow you to trade out what you're wearing. However, if you lost it due to damage, it won't appear in the select. That means it's grind time. That's right, grinding in a 3D platformer.
Nice.
You have a maximum of 18 costumes of each type, which means you can't even go that buck wild. The annoying part is that you have to use a key to unlock each one of the costume gems, but 9 out of 10 times, the key is right next to the costume you're trying to unlock. Also, if you have more than one on your health bar, it won't spawn anymore, meaning if you want to like properly grind out those costumes, you gotta grab the key, make sure you got the outfit you're grabbing on the far right side of your selection, then grab a new one. Rinse and repeat. Now, why would you want to grind out costumes in the first place? Well, a ton of the game's content requires that cross-stage exploration. There's a handful of costumes the Balan community has dubbed as parkour costumes that allow you to do some shenanigans with the
Balan
like
community.
Frog, Fairy, and Magic Cat. So of course you'll want a bunch of these. More on hardcore Balan parkour in a bit. And what is also another example of the developers being out of their minds, Balan Bouts have to be one of the weirdest gameplay additions I've seen in a game. These
Yeah, but that's the thing. I feel like these exist here because they probably just were like, because this is your swan song, Yuji Naka, you get to decide everything. And this is the result of that. They are so deep in their own hole, and they like when you sort of are given full creative freedom, sometimes it can be hard to remember that you're doing this product for an audience. And even if you enjoy it, you have to understand that you might just enjoy it because it's your thing. And trying to look at a product like this from an objective standpoint is really, really, really hard. And understanding that, oh, I don't think this is actually an enjoyable... Like, is there actually any enjoyment to a mechanic where we just wait for a character to pose a specific way and I'm gonna press a button? It's just... Does that look fun, guys? The character, you have to align the silhouette over the character. Does that look like fun? Does that look like that's really gonna test your skills?
A statue. Now, in most games, you'd be able to just retry or, hell, even back out of the stage and grab it again. This game, for some reason, will not reset any elements of any of the stages until you beat the boss of the world each time.
What?
So by design, if you get to one of the stages that has 3 Balan Bouts and you miss one, you have to go and beat the boss, retrace through that level, and try again.
Why?
And immediately close out the application, reboot it, and then try again.
Oh.
This applies for all gems, mini bosses, and mini games as well. That means, yes, you get one chance to play soccer. That's fine though. Bouts are irritatingly long, ridiculously hard to read for some of the presses, and easily the least enjoyable part of the entire game. Like, what am I looking at? Why are they even fighting? I guess we're just supposed to infer everyone's actions and motives without the exchange of any words. A true visionary.
Let's not forget about the stuff the day one patch fixed, like the epileptic seizure-inducing flashing in the final boss. Somehow got past QA. Yeah.
Like Tims. That's a good question. I wonder about that all the time.
I have no idea what Tims are. There's a lore reason we'll get to, but I think this was a Balan's attempt at doing something like Chow from Sonic Adventure 2. Admittedly, these little babies are very cute and actually remind me of Rabbites from the Mana games. But the raising minigame is very unclear. So you have a giant tower in the middle of your world hub and a giant clicker that counts a number every time a Tim hits one. As you build this thing up, it becomes a multi-tiered tower that continues to count numbers faster and faster, supposedly into 6 digits. You collect gems in each level that are used to feed the Tims, which will then encourage them to work on the tower, causing number go up. When you feed one a bunch, it'll get all thick, and if you throw a small one into it, it'll lay an egg for some reason. Yeah, this is how it works, kids. Just give him a flying crossbody across the top row. Get egg. Anyways, I finished this thing. Yeah, I told you, 100%. Eventually, you have more than 100 of these things running around, and you can easily count up the clock while you AFK and discover The Sopranos 20 years later.
I'm in the middle of a game.
You'll be in the middle of a Balan Wonderworld. You don't wise up.
The tower continues to escalate in size with more and more routes and clickers for you to unlock until we reach the goal of finish the tower at a much slower number than I expected. And well, what do we get? Nothing. You get nothing.
Good day, sir!
When you finish the last goal, the entire counter goes away. And that means those 7 digits exist for no reason. Very
What?
Cool. You do have one specific major unlock with rainbow gems and breeding that's a really...
It's like the fucking... if I don't know if anybody has watched Lost. There was a thing in Lost, the TV series, where the characters had to like... There was like this chamber that was hidden underground, and there was like a timer going down to 0. And the prophecy was that if you let the timer go to 0, something bad will happen. And then they would press the button like a monkey, and like nothing would happen, even if it went to 0. This is a fucking garbage fire.
really neat post-game thing, but I can't spoil that yet, so next section.
I I did not think that I was going to be aiming for the Platinum Trophy in this game. At first, I was like making a joke, like, hey, let's get the Balan Wonderworld Platinum.
Didn't stuff happen? It started like vibrating, but then it went away. So yeah. It was never like properly implied that what was the cost of that vibration, you know?
And then 4 days later, I had it. Balan Wonderworld might be one of the only games I've ever played that gets better the further you get in.
Just stop lying, seriously. This is what Stockholm Syndrome. This is exactly what a Stockholm Syndrome person is. He's been like, this is the content jail that he's been forced into, right? This is the content jail that he's been forced into, and he's trying his best to like mentally protect him from the traumatic experience that he's going through, and he's trying to see like positives in this thing to not get like absolutely depressed. That's the only thing that's going on here. Let's not kid ourselves. It doesn't get better as the further you go.
The worst it has to offer. Your movement speed, although beefed up a tiny bit from the demo they released, feels so sluggish, which, by the way, that demo's now been removed. Whoops. The costumes you get have such limited functionality. The second level is one of the 3 in this game that has
always a good sign. Always a good sign when a free demo is removed from stores. There's 2 reasons. Well, actually, there's probably only one reason. It's because they don't want people to see what the game is like before they buy it, because the game is trash. Yeah, that's not a good show. Ah, fuck, that's not a good show.
This awful sprawling out camera angle going on. It's supposed to look like a storybook visual, I think, but actually it just makes me feel sick, like Drive Club VR sick. The music in this game is generally very, very good. Ryo Yamazaki is one hell of a composer with a killer resume, but the first level song in this game is very lukewarm.
Yesterday you said you'd call Sears.
I'll call now.
If you were to judge the entire video game based off the awful Balan bouts and these extremely generic and boring first levels, I think I would agree with the review score. However, for some really stupid reason, the best parts of this video game, the parts with some genuine high highs, are all locked behind the credits. I mentioned that there's 36 levels. There's an Act 3 that unlocks when you beat Lance and leave the Wonderworld. An act that is completely devoid of terrible QTEs and is instead a set of challenging platforming sequences where you have to bring in any costumes of your choice. And all of a sudden, there's strategy. Since each costume is a piece of life, you have to make sure you have the right loadout in order to get to the end. Each of these has a new set of rainbow statues and one hidden, typically overpowered costume that you can obtain. Now, a lot of costumes in this game are just powered up versions of old ones. This sounds lazy, but it makes sense when you read about Yuji Naka's struggle to make it to 80 initially.
Why does he have to make it to 80?
The fox, who turns into
That's so fucking stupid. Like, why do you set this fucking ridiculous, dumbass fucking thing for you? Like it has to have 80 costumes. I've decided that it's gonna have 80 costumes, and it will have 80 costumes. There's no compromising here. It has to have 80 because I already decided that that's a good number. That's so stupid. Just fucking cut like 40 of them and make the last 40 like good, instead of this fucking box fox shit.
fox whenever it feels like it.
Yeah, that's great game design, right, guys? Yeah, this is fun.
Oh, okay. This is fine. With
Yeah.
how many video games are
Is that really necessary? Do you have to have that in the game just to get to the 80 costumes?
regularly coming
Fuck.
out and vying for your attention, who is going to have the patience to sit past the first 3 worlds, which have to be one of, if not the worst first impressions I've seen a video game do? Just me, probably. So you don't have to.
So, your reward for getting everything, it's a doozy.
Oh, okay. What about the rainbow statues? You're kidding me.
I mean, with the way everything else is played out, it's not like I'm really that surprised. Although I will say I'm glad I at least got trophies out of it. I feel bad for anyone who played the Switch version, not just because you don't get trophies, but also because the game runs like crap, apparently. If you gotta do it, don't do it on the Switch. Don't do it. So if you do decide to go for 100%, just beating the game's not gonna be the thing that nabs you all of the trophies. You do have to sit through a decent amount of post-game stuff, and that means you also have to sit through every Balan's bout, which for most people is a deal breaker, and probably, actually no, if you're playing this far, you probably already, you're in. So while doing all of the trophies as a joke for just me, I guess, something suddenly hit. This game has a lot more to offer than anyone knows.
Stop lying.
Sure if a
Fuck.
single
No,
video
it doesn't.
game has done this before, but Wonderworld has a hidden difficulty setting that is not selectable. There's a few trophies for defeating lanced versions of specific enemies, and the only way to do that is to fight specific mini-bosses while in hard mode. In order to get to hard mode, you have to defeat a certain number of enemies without taking any damage. I was able to do this in 15 minutes by going to stage 6-2, running around the map in a circle and punching a bunch of dudes. Suddenly, the enemies turn red, some take twice as much damage, and they spawn in greater numbers. And that's cool. This is also reflected on the bosses and mini-bosses as well. Now, whenever you beat a level, you'll get a red thumbs up instead of a yellow one. You did it hard. Wait. However, there are two variants of the mini-bosses, red ones and lanced. Lanced have a 25%-ish chance of spawning and are much harder than the normal versions, especially the dude on ice. What the heck? So there's a hidden difficulty setting and even further difficult enemies that have a chance of spawning. Also, if the wrong one spawns and you kill it, you'll have to beat the main boss of the chapter in order to respawn the guy. And keep in mind,
Why is he talking about this fucking garbage fire as if this is a good thing? Like, there is a... First things first, you have to grind 15 minutes in a level in order to unlock the hard mode of the level. Then, once you've unlocked the hard mode, there's a 25%, so 1 in every 4 times, chance that a mini-boss is going to be this lanced version, whatever that supposedly means. And if it isn't, then you have to go through the entire fucking world to beat the boss, to reset it, and then you can try it again. This guy is a fucking lunatic. He's seriously trying to argue like this is the secret good time that the game has to offer. This is the secret good time. This is why you should buy the game, guys, right? Because you can abuse yourself further.
Of hard mode if you get hit one time, just once, and you're out. Or, you know, close the application, baby. I did this quite a bit. I think it's super awesome to see this old school cryptic stuff. It's totally nostalgic for me to have to search up info on forums. This sense of discovery was and is a fun experience. But also,
yeah, but it's executed like fucking horse shit.
Included a difficulty option to allow the player to have this experience the entire time.
Yeah, they thought about it like afterwards.
Bored and breezing through it. All 7 of you. Besides the enemies, hard mode has no unlocks, trophies, or anything for it. It's just kinda there, not explained to the player or even mentioned anywhere. The same goes for Tim breeding, which is necessary for 100% and unlocks a costume that not only completely breaks the game, but shows us a brief glimpse of Yuji Naka's true vision. You need 2 Tims, 3 big gems of each color that will give them a badge for a total of 3. Each Tim has 3 badges, 1 gets thick, do a crossbody, and pray to the RNG gods that it births the Tim of a legend. No, not that one. Then breed the Tim up to a middle size and toss them into the Father Tim statue, which you'll need rainbow gems for. You can get these by re-clearing stages or finding mini statues that'll drop a few. Or exploiting a glitch in stage 6-2 that'll cause them to respawn like 10 seconds from the checkpoint anytime you go into costume select. Save yourself the trouble. Cheat. Or just don't play this game. Then you hatch a massive thick Tim of Tims, fly up to some rainbow island, and pick up a costume for Balan. Just don't get hit. Shit. And I lost it. Time to grind more rainbow gems. Yeah,
wait, you have to grind it every time?
I don't know.
Are you kidding me? Why is this cool? Whoa. So you don't actually unlock it. You don't actually unlock it by finding it. You only get it temporarily, and then if you take damage, you have to do the grinding thing all over again. Are you kidding me? This is like offensively bad. Why is he trying to argue like this is some kind of achievement?
Know the full amount in order to get the costume again. I should have just reset the game, but I didn't know that was a thing yet. And I feel really stupid, but it's totally worth saving up to get it again because the Balan costume totally breaks the game.
Prior to this, you're stuck to the ground for the most part, but the Balan costume gives you like 10 jumps and the ability to float for an infinite amount of time. Every level in the game is suddenly a joke, but at the same time, way more enjoyable to explore. I got this outfit, I slipped into stage 1-3, and within seconds, I was seeing Yuji Naka's true vision. I was seeing what the Balan bouts potentially could have been. The Balan outfit, while not invincible, completely shatters most of this game's challenge, and it's really weird that you can unlock this thing really early into the game. But again, I'm not surprised.
It's pretty obvious that Balan Wonderworld is a huge mess, but it's the thing that I kept thinking about and trying to dissect what happened when I was done playing it. So much effort was thrown into the aesthetic and the world and all the little character designs, and I'm sitting there like, why is there no dialogue? What is going on? Turns out that the lore and story and characters were located outside of this game.
Oh yeah, very great.
At first, Balan Wonderworld's entire narrative was located in a book they didn't advertise.
No, yeah, so you don't even have to, no, you just get hit. If you get hit once, you lose the power, and you have to grind for it again.
I'll know I'm not one to half-ass stuff, so I bought and read the entire thing. Balan Wonderworld, Maestro of Mystery, Theater of Wonders. Why wasn't this in the game? I have never read a book that reads closer to a script for a video game than this. Written by Soshi Kawasaki, the guy who wrote the story for Vampire Reign. Oh my god.
Oh
Maestro of
fuck.
Mystery not only
That
provides
guy?
context for
A
the
master.
game, it is also the entirety of the characterization, personalities, motives, likes, wants, dislikes for every single one of these dancing, personalityless husks that Wonderworld throws at you. Yes. The book is separated into 5 sections, each of which represents a different part of the story. There's the beginning, unexpected company, transformation, battle, and after. The opening cutscene of this game is the beginning. The entirety of the video game is battle. Everything else is absent. That's right, the 100 pages of plot setup, character moments, endless dialogue of relationship building, not there. So the reason your character's running around with Balan and fighting things is non-existent. That is, until now. The first few pages have this amazing art you don't see anywhere in game, by the way. We learned that Leo and Emma are actually Street Beat and Fighter. Sick names. It goes through each of the Wonderworld residents and shows us this great art that doesn't feel fully manifested in Arzest's video game. Then we see the following. The Balan Theater appears out of nowhere. Everyone visits the strange playhouse once or twice over the course of their life, and everyone meets with Balan, the mysterious maestro with a smile like a shared secret. Even you, though you wouldn't remember. No one does.
You see, this is how you set up a narrative.
No one does
First
because you
something.
fucking lose your memory. Like, it's... When you have a really traumatic experience, it's very common to lose your memories. Okay.
Might have also experienced. It's relatable. It's writing 101. I'm gonna skip all of the fluff and just lay out a simple question. What is Wonderworld?
While playing the game, I was kind of thinking it was purgatory, especially when the dolphin basically murdered that one chick. However, Wonderworld is a metaphor for mental health. It pops up and lets you in when you're consumed with negativity and bad thoughts. It's the age-old tale of hope versus despair seen in countless pieces of media.
You heard it here, folks. If you get depressed, this is where you'll go. So you know. Try to live your life happy. So you don't have to go to the Balan Wonderworld. This is a bad place to be. Please don't let yourself end up here. Please. It's for your own good.
Especially Danganronpa. Each of the residents is there for a specific reason, and a lot of them have been there for a very long time. Street Beat in particular, and this makes me laugh, he's there because he's a sick dancer, and he's too good for anyone else because he has trouble making friends.
Aww,
To Wonderworld,
poor baby.
everyone's greeted by Lance, who looks like this and not this, and he provides a safe space for the residents to live, known as their stage. A place that they have the ability
Yeah,
to
exactly.
manipulate as they see fit. But who cares about that when you have cool dialogue like, he planted one hand atop the brand new hydrant and swung himself up into a handstand. I don't need anything else to be happy, just this. Just dancing. 10 out of 10. Long story short, you meet all the residents who are all repressing something traumatic that happened to them. Lance has decided
This
to
is a
take
very-
everyone in Wonderworld as
This is a very sort of Japanese for kids kind of character writing style, I feel. The character is designed around, completely designed around like a single quirk. I don't need anything except for dancing. It's basically everything. Like it tells you everything about the character. The character is a street kid. They love to dance, but it's clear that there's some kind of resentment or like a negative emotion tied to something, because they have to convince themselves that they only like dancing. Like dancing is the only need that they need in this world. Doesn't create the most interesting characters, but it's good for children's, like really young children's stuff. But then it begs the question: how many people who bought this book are children? I would say probably like 0.01%. It's like this is not a book that is bought by children. This is a book that is bought by people like this guy who review the fucking game. That's the only reason to why anybody would get the book. How many know there's a book? Yeah, exactly.
He enjoys being their friend when the original purpose of this
is a terrible idea.
There's a lot of interesting character moments and unique world building, such as everyone knowing each other's fake names without meeting. But this all builds up into a turning point where Emma, known as Fighter in this world, has essentially seen through the code. Turns out that Lance hijacked the place for himself. Balan wants to help these people move on, and Lance is gonna make them fight. Okay, this is kind of dumb. Lance convinces the residents that actually Balan is the bad guy. In order to save Wonderworld, you have to embrace your negativity and become the monster. The ones that you see in the game, which are bosses. Physical manifestations of PTSD and other trauma. All the while, Street Beat's like, I just like dancing, yo. So from here, Street Beat's like, I'm gonna turn into a monster and protect my stage, but he can't. And Balan's like, yo dog, you can't because you just needed to make some friends. And you're not negative anymore, it's all good. Now go save them.
Now become furry.
Then the game starts to take place. The entire plot, setup, character building, rising action part of the story is where the game begins. So without all of this setup, it doesn't really seem to, I don't know, make sense. The book has some conversations take place after fights where characters will reveal their traumas, sometimes much darker than you'd expect from this little game. We even get a few neato twists, such as Wonderworld existing as some kind of Matrix-like entity that all of its citizens entered at different points in time. After Lance is defeated and everyone leaves Wonderworld, some characters emerge like 15 years before the others, and they spend the entire end of the novel trying to reconnect into a happy ending that's genuinely kind of touching. There's also some twist about Balan being a creation of Lance who only became bad, in quotations, because he grew too attached to the people that he brought in, not wanting them to leave. And that makes the ending twist, where Balan cries, turning it into a gym, even more heartfelt. It's also only revealed in the book that Clock Tower Kid, the girl with green hair, is also the girl in the Princess Parade that Pensive Perot wanted to ask out, which is his whole reason for going into the Wonderworld. And due to their experiences in Wonderworld, that means she had to wait for years. They even went and animated the same character in both cutscenes, but without the knowledge from the book, it's just like, oh, they have the same eyelashes, I guess. It's almost like this should have been in the game.
Oh!
It explains why the character models appear in levels and just disappear when you walk up to them. They're illusions trying to attract the player. This book is like a Bible for this game. It should be required. Even if it ruined my life when it explained the plot, saying that the Wonderworld is supposed to restore balance. Balan, Lance, Balan, Lance, balance. Yay, you did it.
This little book laid out a better description of the entire world than 60 hours of me playing the video game did. It even made some of the characters interesting and likable, even if it kind of just read like an automated Google Translate at times, which it definitely did. I mean, it's also pretty funny at times, like when Street Beat's trying to help the invisible custodian want to live, I guess, and he's like, I need somebody's help to clean up the Wonderworld, and he's
Speaking of Google Translate, I fucking hate, so I've been, as I mentioned recently, I've been on a binge to read some princess comics, and a lot of shoujo, so girls comics, from Korea, and I'm like starting to get frustrated, slowly but surely. I've read like probably like let's say a good 500 chapters of girls manga right now. I'm not getting frustrated because of the comics themselves. The comics are actually really interesting and fun. But the translations, though. Something about the Korean comics where like every 5 chapters the translation team changes. And there are so many groups, quote unquote, who translate this shit with something worse than Google Translate. They don't like get... Like, it's obvious that they haven't actually even looked at the source material, because, for example, like female characters are called Mr. Because they have like a... Like, for example, if you put, like, for example, Mae-san, like, Mae-san, as in Japanese, san is a polite, like, after pronoun that you use to politely address somebody. Like, for example, let's say Bear-san. If I would say Bear-san, that would be like a polite way of addressing Bear. But a lot of translation engines translate son to Mr. or Miss. And because the people who quote unquote translate this trash, they didn't actually look at the source material. It's very common to see like the fucking male lead address the female lead as Mr. Or like Mr. whatever. Like, it's so frustrating. I hate it. It completely destroys the immersion from the comic. It's like so fucking annoying. I get that this kind of low quality, rare, like nobody's gonna give a shit, novels are gonna get translated mostly by machine. I mean, why not? But like, but the fucking Korean, they're so well made. Some of the comics are drawn so incredibly well, and the stories are actually really engaging and fun. And it feels like an insult to the source material when this fucking group of like absolutely soulless idiots go to translate it so poorly that it's impossible to understand anything what's going on in the chapter. And they only do it because they want people to go onto their like Patreon or Ko-fi or something like that. The donation buttons are always enormous, so it's really clear to see what the motivation for doing this shit is. They just want your money, and they want to be there first to translate all the things. They translate them as fast as possible in massive bulk. The quality is complete trash because it's clear that nobody in the group actually speaks English. And it's just made so that they can get those quick Ko-fi donations or something like that. And that's it. It's garbage. It's garbage. It's so fucking impossible to read them. I hate it when like I read like the first 50 chapters and I'm like really engaged into the story, and suddenly the formatting of the fucking pages becomes garbage. Suddenly the translation is absolute monstrously fucking trash, and like it's just fuck. It's so frustrating.
Like, I'm losing the battle against litter. It's 11 out of 10 writing. And if you just play the game, you kind of miss out that Balan's kind of a sassy bitch with a Sonic-like attitude, and Street Beat just wants to dance. He won't stop talking about it. But hey, if you don't want to read the book or spend money on it, which I understand, you could just look at the website.
I was trying to figure out
Rest well, Yersu, if you're going to bed already.
I stumbled upon the official website, which just has so much. Not only do we get a ridiculous amount of art to look at, we get a very stylistically designed website that have full explanations for everything going on. Character names, boss names, cute descriptions of things happening in every level in the game, little tidbits on every costume, advice on how to play the game, which is nice considering someone data mined that the tutorial was removed before release. Like, there's so much effort on this website that I'm inclined to believe that something went horribly wrong in the game development process. If you ask me, or most people, Balan Wonderworld should not have been given to Arzest. Looking through the credits, it seems that Balan Company was designed to be a smaller team that worked with outside developers to create bigger projects, meaning that Balan Company was mostly all of the stuff not pertaining to the gameplay itself. The direction, the aesthetics, the music, concepts, and art, all of which are pretty fantastic. But when you look at the developer, Arzest, and their history of games, you'll see a lower standard of quality. In fact, this was the very first HD video game that Arzest even worked on, as they've been mostly making stuff on the 3DS for Nintendo, such as Hey Pikmin. Why Square Enix and Balan Company decided that this developer would be the one to work on what I assume to be a decently sized budget game from a AAA publisher is completely baffling to me. And on top of that was the COVID-era pandemic development cycles where most studios were all working from home, and even though this started in 2018, you can really see the toll 2020 took on it. There's a lot of cut content, and even though it's polished in a lot of the areas that matters, it's not a very glitchy game. It's just extremely bland and has a lot of gameplay directions that hold it way, way back. That and the whole no dialogue thing, but I'm no expert. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't even think
The no dialogue thing might not have been because I'm pretty confident that was probably Yuji Naka's decision. Because he's the one who talks about it in PR. I don't think that was because of this. So yeah, if you have a shitty dev team who doesn't have a history of making good games, yeah, the gameplay is gonna suck. But this game sucks in basically all aspects except for the visuals, and even the visuals, I wouldn't say are outright good. So the artwork is good, but for example, like the sort of overall aesthetic isn't good. Like, what the fuck is up with that fucking vacuum cleaner fucking body? Like, that, it's so fucking cringy.
They're a bit more intricate than you can jump in water, and you can jump into water with electricity.
It's kind of pointless to critique without offering some kind of fix or alternative, though, so let's do it!
Balan Wonderworld is at its very best when you're breaking the crap out of it. Once you get the ability to take Frost Fairy or Magic Cat into other worlds, the possibility of how to platform opens up big time. Suddenly, just like your 3D Marios, you embark on a journey to see how you can collect all of the statues in the most unintended and dumb manners possible. Both of those costumes allow you to airwalk a good distance, with Frost giving you a little incline. However, if you mash the button instead of holding onto it, you can drag out the distance that you go, allowing you to get some pretty bad air. There's also close to no invisible walls in this game, so you can like really go the distance. It's with this I was able to collect a lot of hidden costumes, find several hidden mini games, and even spot a few backstage locations where you can see the Wonderworld residents sitting down and chilling. It's a pretty neat fourth wall moment. Since this game has a theater motif, everything happening being a stage play makes a lot more sense. In fact, when you pair that up with Street Beat being a dancer, even the dancing segments at the end of every boss fight make a lot of sense. If you combine the knowledge of the novel with the game itself, those absurd, over-the-top musical numbers suddenly become Street Beat allowing himself to dance with others, mending his own broken heart.
Yeah, but why the fuck does everybody else dance with him? Sure, he loves dancing, but why is the fucking fireman dancing?
To all of the Balan statues in a
That doesn't explain anything.
Again, the song's gibberish is suddenly in English with lyrics.
God, I hate Sonic so much. This is just an extension of Sonic.
Friends is cool, I love you and stuff, which could also be seen as the mending of Emma's heart for her trust in others to fully express herself.
Fuck! It's like this is like one of those things where like war criminals are tortured for like secret intel with, but they're forced to watch this shit, listen to this music. Shit! I hate it so much.
And here's how to fix it. Step 1. Change the way the game progresses and add cutscenes. There was clearly a lot of story that they could have told here, especially since they made a nearly 300-page book out of it. The first half is the gang all
nearly. Balan Wonderworld, by the way, has less story than Spicy Variant, the horny book. So, you know. Mine is better.
And the illusions that Lance put forth to their worlds. So take all of the Act 1 levels, add a few mini bosses here and there, and have you go through all of those first. You can collect costumes as you explore your new friends' stages, meanwhile adding character moments and, you know, cutscenes, so you can actually know what the heck you're doing and with who. Like, there's no reason for me to go through 2 levels watching a random character.
Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
Then being introduced to them with a cutscene before I smash.
Why does she have stick up her ass?
Empathy, that's just not enough. Next, have a cutscene where there's a big reveal where Lance is like, Balan's the bad guy, making everyone's stages transform to defend themselves. Then when you meet up with Balan and realize that, oh, like, yeah, this is what we gotta do, you then go stage to stage, defeating all of the characters' monster forms, and you get to feel somewhat attached while saving lives. Now go ahead and add Act 3 in there as well, because it's the best this game has to offer. Then you beat the game, and that's it. Easy. I fixed it. Step 2. Get rid of Balan bouts. It's a no-brainer here. I think that Balan bouts were supposed to be something different. When you play in the Balan costume, you can see that they maybe had an idea of something you could have done. Like perhaps separate the acts by playing as Balan, where you then have to fly around and do some crazy stuff in order to get the spice up the gameplay. I don't think there's anyone out there.
Or, for example, instead of making the Balan outfit like a fucking secret thing, you make the Balan bouts into like these fantastical boss battles where you have to have the Balan outfit to assist Balan in combating this bad guy, instead of this fucking horse shit. Like, just keep it within the mechanics.
Balan punch a rock for the 100th time in a row and was like, man, that was sick. Step 3. Costumes. You don't need 80 costumes.
What?
That's ridiculous.
No.
Even though each one has a decent, well, maybe creepy designed and a silly mocapped dance.
No, they don't.
It's not
They don't
necessary.
have.
Do we really need 10 different.
They don't have the. This is not. This is
not.
not. If anybody in chat is ever going to argue that this is decent design, I will fucking ban you. Seriously, don't. This is not good design.
You could easily narrow this down to like 30 or 40, which was what they are originally projecting, and still be good. Also, making them consumable was a bad idea. Just make it so that you can take 3 hits of damage and then you die. Step 4. More Tim integration. I'm still not really sure what the Tims are. According to the book, they're the opposite of the Nagati, the evil creatures of the world. They feed on tears in order to bring happiness, while Nagati do the opposite. It goes with the balance motif and stuff, but besides attempting to have a cute mascot character to sell, I really don't understand what it is they were going for. I guess they follow you around in stages and attack enemies sometimes, but it's barely noticeable. There's a decent amount of content regarding Tims, including potentially taking them into levels with you, but alas, cut content. Hashtag free the Tims. Let them race or perhaps participate in a karate tournament? Final step, let me mess around. Balan is at its best when you're just messing around with the physics and jumping like there's no tomorrow. For a game that allows you to take any costume into any level, limiting costume spawn points to acts was a weird decision. I think it would have been best to just pull from an inventory or even just force me to pick stuff from a checkpoint without losing it. Having to grind costumes from orbs right next to keys is just a time waster. And if you weren't aware, this game actually has a 2-player co-op mode, which is pretty much just little sibling mode, allowing you to easily kill someone by just changing the camera angle. However, it also allows you to kill characters where one person moves, but both can use
That's so
this
mean.
mode, you can really hardcore parkour all over maps and earn Balan statues way before you should be able to do so. These are the kind of moments where Balan Wonderworld is fun? Did I just say that? It's just unfortunate that any costumes player 2 collects or has will just be discarded. Like, they don't save. They're just gone. Again, it's random, baffling decisions like this.
Oh, I'm still on FF. Oh, right. Sure.
Very good game. But I also don't think it's a very bad game. I think it's something that's misunderstood not only by the people who are playing it, but also the developers. It's a game of genuine high highs and also very, very low lows. Bad enough to where I was audibly groaning, but
Well, the game is made by Square, so it
By this
technically
game.
counts as Final
Despite being a
Fantasy,
brand
so...
new game, I think that
The Balan Wonderworld one.
has given me a total sense of nostalgia. I do feel like I'm playing a weird imported Japanese PlayStation 1 or Saturn game, and it does legit feel like it could be. It's got that mystique and intrigue that only something like Nights into Dreams can have, but also the weird jank where you're having to scour forums to understand what's going on. It also has a wonderful presentation and a vision that, while hard to see, with the full picture, a squint, head tilted, corrected frames on, is pretty cool. It's easily one of the most unique video games released in the last year, and something that will be remembered for better or worse. Definitely worth. I, of course, cannot recommend Balan Wonderworld. That would be totally irresponsible. But I do know that there's a handful of you guys out there who love the curiosity, the weird thing that pops up every now and then. For you, I say go nuts. Then you too can look at the unused Balan costume color for a second flare that literally exists without being data mined but cannot be selected because why would anything good happen?
Balan feels like an incomplete package, but one that did get a little bit better after I read the novel. The question is, should you spend all of that time and effort that I did in order to feel that this game's maybe a 6.5 at its peak? Maybe a 7? I'm gonna say no. No one should, ever. But I did it so you don't have to. And hey, that was Balan Wonderworld.
You have to read a novel for the game to be like a 6 out of 10.
Join me next time when we talk about an entire series of titillating action games.
Oh, fuck. God, this game sucks. But that's how it goes when Yuji Naka is in charge. I've already seen the War Thunder review, so I'm not gonna check that out. Let's see. The Reaper House RuneScape music. What was this link to me?
Welcome, my friend, to the house of death. The psychopomps domain. You may be alive, but welcome.
Is there something to this?
A legion of spooks await within.
Cause oh,
Shade of ghastly.
god damn it! Fucking. I had like, I know like, I think Yerso sort of has a little bit of this gene too, where it's like, I really like this thing. It can be like whatever. And I want to show mommy because I really like this thing. I'm sure mommy will also like it. And then it's like the Jeff Kusanagi abyss of being a fan of something. It's like you don't lose sight of like this isn't interesting at all. This is completely outside of the spectrum of interest, and we're not doing a music listening stream. But I'm gonna send them like a random song from RuneScape anyway. Oh, Bear, you're so cute, but also so incredibly derpy at the same time. Fucking hell. God damn it. I'm glad you think the song is catchy. That's very good. I think I've seen this one. Does she still say Peko? I haven't seen I haven't seen anything Hololive in a long time. Does Pekora still remember to say Peko all the time? She has such a funny voice. I wish I had like a funny voice as well, like a cutesy funny voice. You don't really have the right to say that considering you have fucking carrots in your hair. think I've seen this. Debunyanko. That's pretty good. Very good. I've seen the War Thunder review already. Self-aware game mechanics. Let's see what this is all about. I'm not derpy. Yes, you are, Bear. Yes, you are.
Welcome. The video you're watching won't just be about games that intentionally crash and make you reopen them. I find fake-out humor, while entertaining, can be often unchallenging and easy to cover.
Animation is nice. It's a 3D model, is I think.
Fourth wall mechanics and storytelling devices that vaguely fall under the umbrella of self-aware. I'm also not going to use the word once because I consider it a slur.
Yeah, I think this is a 3D model. Yeah, it's definitely a 3D model. But it's been animated in like this stop motion style animation. It's really well done.
Anyways, let's walk through this video. The out-of-bounds glitch is as certain as the sun rising in our skybox. Name a game and someone's probably broken out of it by now.
Here's how to prove Link's Earth is flat and jump off the world.
What allows this to happen is any developer oversight that lets players escape the play area. Things like a missing boundary box collision.
Ah, sorry.
Or
Better?
any mechanic that overrides the player's position in the world. It's not unlike your cat squeezing its body through a microscopic hole in the fence.
Yeah, okay.
There's something so human about the desire to turn a wall into a door and a door into a portal. If a game's cool, it'll actually use this as a feature in some way, rewarding players who escape the play area with some kind of a wink or a nod. For all the examples of it being used as an Easter egg, though, I couldn't find many examples of it being a primary mechanic. This led me to Itch.io, which led me to a tiny game called Hammer Space. It seems to be a development build of a late 90s shooter that was so error-trodden you can't equip the intended weapons. All you can use is a scrapped hammer item with a supposed high-priority bug. Hey, you know what they say, l'appel du vide, or as the French would put it, he's using that wrong. Damn right I'm using this hammer wrong. I'm traversing just outside the level while platforming back into it to access keys and thwack enemies. It also gives them a case of the wiggles. Keys are also reset when you wall walk, so parts of the level have to be completed without glitches. You can go around reading internal feedback on the game, but don't expect too big of a picture. This game was made in a week and is about 5 minutes long. If my hands were on the wheel of making a game like this, I'd probably take a few cues from any % speedruns.
We have to contain this.
By the way, any % just means skipping through parts of the game by, well, any means necessary. People treat Doom 2016 like it's a 3D platformer. You climb around the skybox, walk on the ceiling, blast jump your way across gaps. It's like a totally different game is being played. The same could be said of any % speed run. Metroid Prime's got a crazy one.
I've heard about that, yeah.
Yeah. Sekiro, Morrowind, every video game ever. All I'm saying is when lightning strikes the same spot 100 times, eventually a developer's gonna come along and hold a bottle out to it. Making a game by breaking a game is pretty cool in concept. I'd go more in detail about my theoretical pitch, but I'm no dev and I'm no speedrunner. You could even say I'd be on the outside looking in. We've all come to recognize that iconic Miyamoto quote, "Delay your game, or I'll delay your breathing." So much.
Oh, okay.
One big change.
I can't say I'm too familiar with that one.
Release window is kaput. For example, you ever order French fries and find a curly in it? Yeah, that's basically why RE4 took 6 years to make. Even Halo found its start as a real-time strategy game.
Man, this isn't Halo, dude. Stop showing me these old PC games.
Oh, my mistake. Then it became a third-person game.
Isn't this from Final Fantasy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, who would want to publish this game, dude?
The rest is history, but that's not to say delays are always a good sign. They're even associated with the concept of development hell. One sweeping revision and suddenly months of work get undone. One overambitious feature and now you've cornered yourself with a promise. Also, that Miyamoto quote, he never actually said it. Delayed,
What?
rushed, spoiler alert,
No way.
everything ever made had a show of development. I didn't hit puberty until I was 15. This might all seem like random stuff to be saying, but I promise I'm going somewhere with it. When games shift in direction, tough decisions have to be made. Efficient developers will salvage anything useful from the older game while sacrificing parts that don't serve a new purpose. Sometimes even cool experiences end up removed because they just aren't practical to implement. With BioShock Infinite, early on there were these promises of skyrail obstacles, story factions. You could even step into the reality tears and interact with them.
You'll be in a space and you'll see a skyline that doesn't exist in the Columbia that Booker is in.
But behind the scenes of it all, Irrational Games was shedding developers left and right. Supposedly features were getting the same treatment. Meanwhile, they still hadn't figured out the core game yet. I actually liked BioShock Infinite, but one could imagine the stress of working on it when the 4 games of content you made all get canned at the finish line. You may be wondering, what does any of this have to do with the video title? Well, imagine everything I just explained to you about development hell, delays, and BioShock Infinite was the premise of a video game. A creator with no core game idea, a team being slowly decimated with time, and most telling of all, a graveyard of features dropped late in development. As a playtester, you don't have much control over the situation. But anything that you hack might.
Good, you found a way inside that monster's head.
It turns out you can actually manipulate much of the game under the creator's noses. For example, I found a scrapped enemy type, ripped its propellers off, and then stuck them on a turtle. His name's Craig. Then I rode Craig out of bounds and found a secret message.
Naughty, naughty. You're not even supposed to be here yet, boss.
Yeah, this game's not easy to explain, but it does make sense when you learn the people who made it formerly worked on BioShock. All the missing features of a game were secretly still accessible. What if you could run around a broken demo Frankensteining things together to progress? There's so much heartbreaking symbolism for something planned but never accomplished. Not just the cancellation of a game, but the very stillbirth of a metaphorical and literal child. If you visit the origin point of the world, 000, legend has it.
This tree bears impossible fruit.
It's emulative of the work of
It has the Unity fucking or whatever engine it's been made in. Very good. It has the Orico. Very good. Anybody who's ever made games in 3D will understand. Very good.
That being the Stanley Parable and the Beginner's Guide. These premises accept themselves as a video game and explore how players interact with that knowledge. The illusion of choice, the intent of artists, and lastly, the interplay of promises. The Magic Circle is also like those games in that you'd have more fun playing it than hearing it described. That doesn't mean it'll blow your mind, but you might come out of it a little more sympathetic to the people making your favorite games. God only knows how often great things become diffused with mediocrity. Oh, thanks, Craig. I've been looking for these. I had more mechanics to talk about, but this feels like an organic stopping point. Too much self-awareness is exhausting, but too little of it can ruin your life. Find a middle ground. You really want to see the rest of these examples, huh? Okay, fine. Just a peek. Oh, that's the wrong page. How's that for meta? Oh, I said it. Just standing wondering how he dropping my options. I am reduced to.
Okay. Okay. There was sort of interesting, but also kind of like I sort of don't get like what was the point of that video again? Yeah, self-aware mechanics exist in some games. That was it? That was a little bit confusing. I'm a little bit thrown off by that, but to be honest. What the fuck? Was there some kind of like, did I miss something? I feel like I missed something. Like there sort of wasn't a punchline to that. Well made in terms of the visuals, but I feel like the script could have used a little bit more work. It was slightly confusing as a video. But yeah. There are definitely games that reward you for going out of bounds and stuff like that. There are games that, for example, I think Final Fantasy IX, for example, rewards you if you exploit the game. There's like a secret weapon at the end of the game that you can only unlock it if you clear the game up to that point in like a specific number of hours. It was like something really fast, like 7 or 9 or something like that hours. 12 hours, yeah. 12 hours. If you make it all the way there in 12 hours, you'll be able to unlock this super powerful weapon. However, I think it's impossible to get there, if I don't remember wrong, without a way to skip the cutscenes in the original versions, because the countdown timer is counting during the cutscenes as well, and I don't think you can skip cutscenes in Final Fantasy IX. So if you end up having to watch all the cutscenes, you will have a really tough time getting to there. So a lot of people play it with the... What was the way to do it? It was like you have to open the... Yeah. You have to eject the CD during the cutscenes. Yes, because that makes the cutscene not load and it makes it skip the cutscene completely. So it rewards you for glitching it out. Also, Super Metroid and Metroid Dread are known for... Super Metroid is... I don't know if it was intentional, but there was a wall jumping skill that you could exploit to completely break the order in which the game is cleared. I don't know if it was purposefully made so that you can exploit it the way you do, but the game functions completely perfectly even if you exploit the game and break the order in which you do it. That's where the term sequence breaking comes from. And in Metroid Dread, they purposefully made rewards for sequence breaking the game. For example, there's the boss. I don't know if you guys remember. I did play a little bit of Metroid Dread on stream. But there was this boss called Kraid. It was like this. Let me show you guys. So if you remember this guy, Kraid Dread. So it's this big ass motherfucker. This thing. God, Samus is such a fucking bitch. She's so mean. But you can get to... So normally you wouldn't have the Morph Ball bombs when you get to Kraid. However, and then the fight proceeds basically by you shooting a bunch of missiles into its mouth, and then you shoot its tummy. Let's see if this person has the sequence break. Yeah, no. And then, but if you sequence broke the game, if you sequence break the game, you can You'll see like a unique cutscene, and you can completely skip the boss fight, essentially completely. So this is where it breaks the platform. And you can see that there's a hidden Morph Ball bomb slot here, and if you have the Morph Ball bombs by sequence breaking, then you can instantly inject yourself into its gross belly button and just burn it the shit out of it, and it instantly dies. Which is really cool. This kind of shit is super satisfying when the devs are like, oh yeah, we know about the sequence breaks, and we're okay with it. It would be cool if more games would do stuff like that, but obviously a lot of dev teams and stuff like that, that's the sort of stuff that comes after like the sort of when you design a game, there's like, you need to sort of divide things into like the absolute most important, the skeleton of the game, essentially. Then you have to do the muscles, and the muscles of the game. Those are like the most important parts, and then the skin of the game is like this sort of like nice extra thing, which is like the visuals and the story and stuff like that. But they're not necessarily important in terms of the actual functionality of the game. And then last but not least is the sort of want list, which is like, if we get some extra time, I would love to have these extra features in the game, which is usually something that you don't get to add into the game. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, must have, good to have, and nice to have. Yeah, exactly. So usually the wants, those sort of things like rewarding the player for sequence breaking the game are obviously something that goes into the it would be nice to have it, but it's not necessary by any means, which is why a lot of these don't have those, because these are not games that usually have like an infinite dev time. I'm excited to see the new fucking Deltarune updates, because Deltarune is one of those games that feels like it does have an infinite dev time. They're just gonna release those whenever they feel like. Undertale already had like a bunch of stuff, like for example, if you like access a cutscene with cheat codes or something like that, the game will recognize that, and then Sans is gonna be there like, I noticed that you're cheating, aren't you? And shit like that. It's funny. It adds like a element of secrets to games, especially for people. That was uncanny. No. At least I'm from the generation, I don't know about you guys in chat, but I'm from the generation when internet wasn't a thing yet. People wouldn't generally go to the internet to find about video games and stuff like that yet. And when you discover something like the Mew, like how to get Mew in Pokemon and stuff like that, these mysteries on these things existing in the games, but being like, how the fuck do you get them? Those things added to the mystique of the game. Like, this is this mysterious world, and it's up to me to discover its secrets. So it's like, I don't know. There's definitely a certain kind of value to it. It's not a necessary thing for games by any means, and it is kind of frustrating sometimes how easily available all information is online. Generally speaking, all the secrets will be discovered in like an hour of a game, and then there's nothing left to discover, and then you don't have the joy of discovery anymore, which can suck a little bit. But it do be like that in this information age that we live in currently. Um, but yeah.
Hey y'all, Scott here. I'm on life support now. No reason, just felt like it. I've been told the machine I'm hooked up to is doing some
Let's see here.
great stuff. It's efficient, it's useful, it's made by Mad Cats.
Oh no. I had a bunch of Mad Cats when I was younger. They were all trash.
I should probably start proofreading my will.
Did you know hands can hold garbage and f***ing garbage? Game controllers are fairly understated in the grand scheme of things. I mean, as long as you can reach all the buttons at once, that shouldn't be an issue, right? They are ridiculously important to the gaming experience, but that importance comes at a price. As the years have gone on, official game controllers have risen in cost significantly. We go from the GameCube controller retailing for $19.99 to my scheduled laugh at the Switch Pro controller's price point. The prices of game...
Yeah, yeah, the prices of controllers are crazy high at this point. It's and they are trash. They are also trash where they break in like a year of use or so. They're just, I don't know. I have, like, for example, Xbox controllers, they suck. I have never had a single Xbox controller last for over a year without getting either drift or the joystick not reading the inputs properly. So yeah. Pay fucking and Joy-Cons are very notorious for the drifting issues. They fucking suck. They're just garbage.
Controllers can be absolutely ridiculous, sometimes costing nearly as much as a new game, sometimes costing as much as a new game, more than a new game. $70, man, I found a mattress for that much. I will admit, stuff like the Nintendo Switch Pro controller and DualShock 4 have a lot of random junk thrown into them, and at least kind of explains why the prices are so much higher than controllers in the past.
No, it doesn't, because like there's like 2 games in the entire library of the fucking console that use those things. If you'd actually cut those things out of the controller, you'd be totally fine selling it for like 40 or 30 bucks, but because you have to have this fucking random horse shit like the touchpad on the PlayStation, like who the fuck actually uses that for anything? And like who genuinely asked for the super fucking high quality vibrations that the Nintendo Switch controllers, like after Nintendo Labo or whatever it was, there has been no game or anything that actually uses that feature whatsoever. Nintendo 3DS, they actually made it so that, for example, the Monster Hunter games in the later generations, they wouldn't even use the 3D. The 3D slider would not do anything in those games because the devs realized that why the fuck should we waste time on this trash? So they removed it. So you can't even use the 3D in the stuff. There's something about Nintendo, like innovation is what Nintendo is all about, and sometimes their innovativeness goes slightly into the wrong direction. And well, I mean, the touchpad on the PlayStation sucks too.
360 controller in terms of features, and it's $65. Did all the money go into giving the thumbsticks tire tracks?
Yeah.
Controllers can be expensive. Sure, you can probably make it by with just the one that came bundled with your console, but what if you want to play a local multiplayer game, or what if your controller breaks for some reason? You're gonna need an extra controller, and the official ones, those can be pricey.
Oh yeah.
But you always have other options.
They give these away with car stereos.
Third-party controllers not made by the company who makes the console. You never know what you're gonna get with
Oh no, what is that?
A company that had nothing to do with the actual console. You don't have to abide by any rules, designs, or
why is it a fucking triangle?
Nothing. Now, why would you get a third-party controller instead of a first-party one? Well, I can think of a few reasons, but most of the time, it's all about the price point. These bad boys would sometimes retail for considerably less than official controllers. You could use that money for new games and your mortgage. However, let's not throw all third-party controllers under the bus here, because I consider them to fall under 2 types: big deals or big gimmicks. Either the controller is cheaper and that's why you'd want it, or it features something the official controllers don't. Like the QuickShot controller for the NES. This isn't supposed to be...
Are you guys
a
quick
controller,
shots?
It's supposed to be an alternative.
Don't
If you
tell
wanna
that
use
to
a
your
joystick with
partner.
games, whip out the coffee table, jam the stick with the suction cups, this thing ain't going anywhere. It works well for arcade-style games, or stuff like Top Gun if you're one of those people. But in terms of a controller with no real advantages compared to the official controllers outside of price point, the Hanyu Explorer 1 for the NES, literally just another company's version of the NES Advantage. There isn't much reason for you to pick this up other than the fact that it's cheaper than the official Advantage controller. However, this thing has some interesting features. These top two buttons do absolutely nothing, and there's a useless battery compartment. I really have to start using this term better. In the grand scheme of third-party controllers, these ain't too bad. Third-party controllers were more so gimmicky back in the NES days, mainly because you needed like 2 standard NES controllers at the very most, so for people to want other controllers, they needed to stand out. They needed to have features the regular controllers didn't.
And back then the price point of the basic controllers was much lower as well. It's only after like the PlayStation 3 era when the prices of controllers have been reaching up to like €50 or higher.
For pretty much any unofficial controller to have turbo buttons, like the Turbo Touch 360 for the Sega Genesis. This gives me chills. We have switches to give any of the buttons turbo fire, but the star of the show here is the lack of a D-pad. I'm sure tons of people who saw this in the store went, yes! You ever just use the Genesis controller and... there's too much D-pad here. Now this, I mean, no D-pad is exactly what I wanted out of a Sega Genesis controller. This is a touchpad, and it senses where your thumb is. Where your thumb is. Yeah, this doesn't work very well. You don't get the precision of an actual...
What a surprise.
I don't know if this is whacking out because of old age, but I couldn't imagine this ever working that well when it was new. But hey, if you want a more standard experience, here's the Sega Genesis Owl Pad. I'm sure somebody stood by this controller like you're waiting in the living room for your date to come downstairs and you're talking to her dad about how much you like the Sega Genesis controller.
We're an Alpad family.
What is up with the C button? I don't know how easy it is to see, but it is significantly stiffer than all the other buttons. The back is a soap dish. Now, if you're looking to buy retro gaming garb these days, you're likely to come across these off-brand controllers. They look pretty similar to the originals, but with a few things altered so Nintendo doesn't have a fucking aneurysm. If there's just a blank space where the Nintendo logo should be, fucking run. These things prey on people looking to buy old systems who need an extra controller. They're usually for sale at retro game shops and look almost identical to the original controller.
I've seen a bunch of these.
Always inferior in every way. Like, come on, $15? That's around the same price for an official N64 controller, but people keep buying these because they look so similar and they're brand new. At least back in the day, third-party companies respected the consumer. To differentiate themselves from the first-party companies, they made sure to add their own stupid fucking twist to their product. Introducing the Balan 64. The analog stick fell off of mine and all that's left is a stick, so I had to improvise. Now, this isn't nearly as bad as it may seem. It is a chunk fest in my hands, but it gives you an N64 controller with a slightly more conventional layout.
I mean, to be fair, the N64 controller is like the worst official controller of a video game console ever. It is a fucking monstrous piece of shit garbage.
It has built-in rumble if you slide some AAAs in, and there are 2 whole Z buttons for maximum. But the D-pad is stiff, the L and R buttons are in totally out there locations, and overall, it's just an awkward controller. Also, the name is a lie. The SuperPad 64, now this screams, oh fuck, I need a Nintendo 64 controller and only have $10. I'm gonna be saying that on my wedding night. It's a substitute, but that's all it really is. It doesn't excel at anything in comparison to the original. I mean, yeah, this isn't great, but I'm used to how not great it is. The SuperPad 64 just feels weird without those grips on the sides. It feels incomplete. Z feels like a gas station fuel button. The controller works, but that's all it really does. It's totally just for people who needed that one extra controller for multiplayer.
I like how the sort of old design or the old marketing idea for how are we going to market these this product as a superior version of the normal controller. I don't know, just add the word super somewhere in its name. Fuck, you're fucking genius. Beautiful, let's do that.
I think of first when I hear the term third-party controller. Cheaper in every sense of the word. But this was made by Performance. The company I immediately think of when I hear the term third-party controller is Mad Catz. If you walk into a building constructed by Mad Catz, get the fuck out of there.
Get all the kids out of the room. 3, 2, 1. Jesus Christ, censor that. The only Mad Catz product I own legitimately without thinking twice about it being made by Mad Catz was my GameCube memory card, and I'm still happy to have it on me. Look at all these memories, an entire page of Nickelodeon game save files. I love gaming, but look at this, 16x, whatever the hell that means, keep it coming. I had so much storage space on this card. Mad Catz was never the worst supplier of controllers, but they were definitely known for their mediocrity. But I mean, come on, has a company who made a Dallas Cowboys PS2 controller ever steer you wrong? A lot of their controllers aren't terrible, but they're on their way up there. The Mad Catz GameCube controller, talk about under.
One of my friends had one of those.
A regular GameCube controller and then just warp every element of the controller until it's a shrunken, grotesque game.
God, I hated it so much.
Just by looking at this thing, there is something undeniably cheap about it. Like
Oh,
many
yeah.
of these controllers, it works, but so does filing for bankruptcy, so whatever. Different people like different things. Well, what about the Mad Catz arcade stick for the Xbox 360? With all
Why?
the arcade titles available on the 360, you needed a good arcade stick to play them with. I
Why?
still need a good arcade stick to play them with. This controller is all show, no go. You look at it and go, wow, this is everything a regular Xbox 360 controller is, but with controllers tailored for arcade games. A joystick with a fire button on top, a spinner for games like Arkanoid, this is gonna end in heartbreak. This is just a regular thumbstick on stilts. It has such a wide range of movement. Most arcade joysticks are locked in a set number of directions. Here you have full 360-degree movement, which let me tell
What would you
now,
play
does
with
not
that?
work well for Ms. Pac-Man.
What is the game on Xbox that you would need this shit for? What is it designed for?
On a coffee table and not have to worry about it moving all over the place. No, this one's too small and light to set down and play with, but it's too big and cumbersome to hold in your hands. This has a lot of the same problems as the Atari 2600 joystick in terms of size. I can't say Mad Catz didn't try with this controller, but they didn't. But want to know who did try with their controller? Nickelodeon. Put SpongeBob in your
Guess so.
hands. SpongeBob controllers for the PlayStation 2 and GameCube. I remember
Why?
advertisements for these, and yep, it is SpongeBob in your hands. It's a good Wednesday night controller. I'm not going to use it all the time, but one day a week I'm good with. You get a lot of these novelty controllers made by third parties, like a Dallas Cowboys controller, damn it. Now, you can't go talking novelty controllers without bringing up Afterglow. Yeah, I was 16 at some point. This interests me. An Afterglow Wii remote, transparent in all the right ways. Lock some batteries in, sync it up, and that is fairly disappointing.
Oh shit, it glows!
Like the 1 and 2 buttons are at an angle, that's sort of annoying. Plus and minus are right next to the A button, honestly, a pretty okay change. But then the home button was moved all the way to the top, and you need a damn toothpick to hit it. Well, why sit here and whine when we can whine with even more style? A rock candy nunchuck, finally a controller that answers my lucid dreams. The nunchuck.
Does anybody think that these look good? These like made with recycled plastic, trashy as like see-through garbage ass controllers. Yes, Bear, you think this looks good? You guys think this looks good? Do you guys like? Should I start jangling my keys? Would that make you guys happy? Would that make you guys excited? Would you guys like me to jangle keys? This is definitely.
It's transparent plastic as well, but because of
It's
that, we
ugly
can
as
see some of
fuck.
the icky looking wire in here.
Yeah.
It doesn't look too good.
Oh,
This
you
doesn't
don't
just
say.
Playing Goosebumps Horrorland, I don't know what does. Now, what if you're playing Xbox 360 and your hands start to bleed? Well, damn, you don't want to stop playing to dry the blood off. So introducing Airflow, the controller with a fan. You hit this button and the fan turns on.
Well, that checks out.
This is a
It just goes to show you how insecure people are about their hand sweat. I can't say much. I have very dry hands. Always had. I know some people who have very, very sweaty hands, and they sweat through their hands like crazy. But do the fans actually help at all? I don't think they do, because you have to press your palms against that shit, and like it's just gonna make fart noises, isn't it? Or like block the airflow. So like, well, what the fuck is the point of this shit?
very standard wired Xbox 360 controller, but with LEDs and a fan with 2 different speeds.
I remember it was always.
If you're really hankering,
It was always so gross when like we'd be playing like Smash Brothers Melee or something like that, and one of my friends would have like really sweaty hands, and then they'd hand me the controller and it's like fucking dripping, and I'm like just like God, shit.
For a with a fan, you can do a whole lot worse.
Nothing wrong with having sweaty hands, but fucking wipe the controller.
Logitech wireless PS2 controller. Oh my god, this thing is really comfortable. Dare I say, more comfortable and sturdier than the official controller. The traditional PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 controllers just aren't really my thing, but this bulks it up a bit and just melts in my hands. Also, I like the blue underneath the analog sticks. Those are fun. Here we have a few controllers for the Nintendo Switch. First up is the 8-Bit Do SN30 Pro. And I've always heard a lot about 8-Bit Do, damn whatever. controller. They specialize in retro-esque Bluetooth controllers, this one obviously taking heavy inspiration from the SNES. And yeah, it's pretty good at what it sets out to do. I don't see this as a full-on Switch Pro Controller replacement, but as a supplemental controller for 2D platformers or retro stuff, then oh yeah, it's good. It also works on PC, Android, and irrelevant, so there are a ton of uses for this thing. But what about a controller made specifically for the Nintendo Switch? Well, just your luck, here's the PowerA wireless controller, themed after The Legend of Zelda, specifically with some Twilight Princess art. It's okay, I mean, it's perfectly fine. It has motion
Gold
controls,
looks
you also
so
get these
cheap.
buttons on the back you can map any of the other buttons to. However, you don't get HD Rumble or NFC here. For that,
Who cares?
Chalk up an extra $20 for the
Who the
official
fuck cares about the HD Rumble? Seriously. What the fuck? Like, it doesn't do anything.
Pro Controller, that's not worth it. The extra money may not be worth what the Pro Controller adds in terms of features, but I will say the extra $20 is worth the more premium feeling of the Pro Controller. This is perfectly fine, it does the job, but at $50 for a third-party controller, I'd just spring for a Pro Controller at that point. Here I have a bunch of PS3 controllers. Alright, first up, this is the GameStop branded one. It feels alright, let me test out the trigger. Oh my god. The Tier 1 wired PS3 controller, pretty much just like an Xbox One controller. The X got rubbed off here. That means somebody must have used this thing. Rock Candy strikes again, this time with this tiny PS3 controller. This feels like something I get out of a card machine. Let me rewind a bit to the PS2, the TTX Tech wireless controller. I see they had to make sure the button symbols were different enough to avoid copyright problems with Sony. What are you talking about? That's not a PlayStation X, that's a Norse symbol.
Fun facts, by the way, the triangle X and whatever, those symbols, they are actually copyrighted by Sony. That's why none of these third-party controllers can use them in the same colors. I think the sort of combination of those symbols in those colors, I think, is the property of Sony. If I'm not completely mistaken.
It's feeling like one of those Be-Bon Cool kind of days, you know? Here's the Be-Bon Cool for the Nintendo Switch. This hurts. Everything just doesn't feel right. These triggers, the sticks, the D-pad.
No. Okay, I've never bought into third-party controllers before because you are almost never going to get the same experience or quality than from the first-party offerings. Sure, some stand out, but 90% of the time you're asking for trouble buying these things. Oh wow, a Nyko controller. Might as well be saying, oh wow, I can't just buy a pre-owned first-party controller or save up just a little more for the official one. Sure, some of them have their place in the market, but time and time again I just ask myself, why do most of these exist? And on top of that, Mad Catz pulled a fast one on me. This isn't a life support machine. This was just a bread box!
Oh. Yeah, the whole thing with the third-party controllers is that they're obviously meant to make a quick buck. Don't know so much if they're really made with people who are actually passionate about making better controllers than the originals per se. It's mostly just like, you'll see the made in China at the back of it, and it's probably owned by a Chinese company as well, or it's just this like shitty little startup company that makes like these trashy controllers to make a quick buck. It's, I don't know, I just feels like there's never really a really genuine reason to make those, because you know they're just worse versions of the product that you already have. I remember I had a Mad Catz PlayStation 2 controller. I think it is broken. It constantly pulls into some particular direction. They are garbage. But then in comparison, the first PlayStation 1 controller that we ever got still functions perfectly. So it goes to show you the quality difference in these. But yeah. Anyway. Holy crap, I am so full of yawns today. I need to take a nap after stream. What is this furry Oh, it's just Weedle Twin Needles. I don't know why they make all of their fucking thumbnails this furry. What is with this fucking sexy ass worker crowd? They make like Pokemon Showdown content, and for some reason their thumbnails are always really horny. Let's see. What is the situation like right now? 2 people left, so basically I think it's a good time to end the stream for today. Yes. I could take my nap and then do some work stuff. I have some side projects that I can get done while I'm waiting for the results on the Artists Alley stuff. So we will see how that goes. Tomorrow, Resident Evil 2 remake playthrough is what I'm gonna be doing. So if you want to hear some funny Mae-mae screams, be sure to be there. We're gonna be playing it probably until I beat it. I would assume if it goes kind of like the previous Resi games, that I would be able to clear it in about 3 or so streams. But we'll see. We'll see how it is. I don't know how long it is, but yeah, that's the plan. But yeah, thank you for joining me today. And I think I'm gonna cut the stream here because I really need to take a nap. I'm feeling sleepy as fuck. So I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye-o.